Welcome back to a brand new episode of You Year and the first episode of 2021. Woohoo! It's exciting. We made it. Now, today God nudged me to share with you something that we shared in church yesterday. So if perchance you're somebody who is not a member of the playground but is a subscriber to the podcast and you're also in our church, then you can skip this one because you heard it yesterday. And I'm not going to repeat everything I said yesterday. It's like a shortened version, but there's some stuff that we shared yesterday, and like I say, God was nudging me to share it with you. It's around this idea of dreams. So if you've been following along, you know at the end of last year we had a mini series of dreaming with God for 2021 and getting really excited. And as we start the new year, as I was sharing yesterday in church, I'm going to share with you as well, I feel a bit of a disconnect, or I was feeling a bit of a disconnect between that sense of optimism and hope and yay, it's a brand new year and all of that things, because let's be honest, 2020 was a challenge. It might not have been your worst year ever, but it was less than normal. It was a challenge. And it's not like we're going to magically wake up on the 1st of January 2021 and expect it to be a brand new day and COVID would have vanished. That would have been amazing, but that was never going to happen. However, it's really easy if you switch on the news right now, particularly here in the UK. I don't know what it's like specifically in other parts of the world, but here in the UK, the big focus is on, there's a mutant virus. Now, yes, it has mutated, so it is technically a mutant. This is what viruses do. But this new mutation, we're told, is more contagious, and so it's spreading faster. It's not any more dangerous, but it will reach more people. And so if you turn on the media, it's really overwhelming and daunting. And I've shared with you in the playground already that I have already blocked the news on my phone. I've now gone a step further and installed the Freedom app on my Mac as well, so that I don't, if I'm going to look at the news, I have to make a conscious choice to log out of the Freedom app before doing so. So it becomes, more deliberate rather than those accidental slipping into looking at the news. Because I noticed for me personally, it was sending me spiralling downwards, and that's never particularly helpful. And yes, whatever's going on in life, there are always things that we can do to protect ourselves, keep ourselves safe, not just when there's COVID, in life in general. I'm not suggesting you sit there and go la 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 with your fingers in your ears. Do the things you need to do, but if you notice that those things are causing you to spiral in a way that doesn't feel healthy, there are things that you can do about it. So for me, part of that was blocking Twitter and the BBC News site in particular on my phone and my MacBook. However, having done that, I still felt this need to address it, because I can't be the only person that notices this, that, everything is overwhelming. Everything isn't overwhelming. That's including too much stuff. Not everything is overwhelming, but lots of things are overwhelming right now. And that disconnect between the sense of hope and the whispers we're getting from God for 2021 versus the reality. And the nudge that I got from God, and the thing I was delighted to be able to share yesterday in church, I'm turning back to my notes, is that reminder that there is reason and cause to have hope. We can shine a light. You can go into those dark spaces where other people are feeling gloomy and down. You, as a person of faith, can step up and shine light into those dark spaces. That quote that I love, choosing joy is an act of defiance against despair. And it's a choice. Now, yes, that's not to suggest that you're not going to have days where it all feels too much. And our example that we dug into yesterday in church was Joseph. We looked at Joseph, the ultimate dreamer, and how, he had this dream from God, and it didn't quite go according to plan. And, I imagine you know the story. If you want to read it for yourself, it starts at Genesis chapter 37. But it didn't all go according to plan. And that is our reality as well. You might have things that God is niggling you about, and chances are high they're not going according to how you planned they would go. And actually, the reminder we get from Joseph is that that's okay. It's okay to feel the feelings. I imagine that when he was stuck at the bottom of that pit waiting to be sold off to the Ishmaelite slaves, for example, he wasn't feeling very happy about the situation. We're not told what he said, and ultimately we know that he did keep on trusting God. But I don't imagine for 1 minute that he chose to deny his feelings or eat cake instead. And the same is true for you and I as well. It's okay and a good and healthy thing to acknowledge our feelings. And if you just heard that weird random noise, that was the dog burping. So apologies for that. It's okay to feel your feelings. It's healthy and normal to feel your feelings. What I don't want you to do is to sit there forever. Sit there metaphorically at the bottom of the pit and, there's no point now. All those dreams God gave me, they're not going to happen. I've been sold off into slavery. Ugh. Joseph's example, but whatever that looks like for the context for you. And the reminder we get from the Joseph story is that after he was sold off into slavery and he showed up the person that God made him to be, God helping him, and you and I can do that too. And he did well. He was well regarded within the household that he lived until he got accused of rape, unfairly accused of rape. He didn't do it, and he got slung into prison. And it would have been all too easy for him to give up at that point, to slip into despair and go, oh, well, maybe there's a plan B here. Obviously, I heard God wrong. How many times, I know for me myself, things don't go quite right. You start to go, well, did you really say that, God? Is that really what you meant? Did I hear you wrong? And sometimes we won't necessarily be hearing it, because we don't get, most of the time at least, we don't get a blueprint in the way that Noah did when he built the ark, for example. Instead, we walk through this step by step. And so there might be times where God needs to tweak and adjust the direction that you're heading in. That's fine, but that's different to having a little bit of an obstacle and going, oh, well, you must have changed your mind, God. No, I have said to you before, those things that niggle at you, more often than not, they're not just things that pop in your head and then that's it. They'll keep coming back. The Itchy Soul Playground is testament of that. It is, and the work we do with Uriah as well, it is something that God laid the foundations of 8 years, 9 years ago. And what you enjoy in the playground now is an iteration of work that we've been doing for a number of years. And I'd be quite candid with you. A number of times I've gone, oh well, it's not going to work. Put it on the shelf, metaphorically speaking. But it kept niggling at me. It kept coming back. That's why the Itchy Soul is called the Itchy Soul. There'll be things that itch at you, niggle at you. God trying to get your attention to go, hey, what about this thing? Hey, we could play with this. Those dreams, those ambitions, those aspirations, those things you're excited about. You don't have to give up just because you've faced that first obstacle. Or, in the case of Joseph, that second or third obstacle. Because don't remember, he got sold off into slavery, he got wrongly accused of rape and chucked into prison. And even after he did well in prison and he did there's the story of the cupbearer and the baker. Didn't work out very well for the baker, but for the cupbearer, he was meant to go and tell Pharaoh about Joseph and he didn't. So there was another setback. And yet despite that, he didn't give up on that picture that God had given him. And so what I want to encourage you today is, if you are feeling a little bit disheartened or a little bit of that disconnect, maybe you were excited for 2021 and maybe you had all these dreams and ideas, and now you're a bit like, well, okay, but COVID's still going on and the world still looks really uncertain and I'm just not sure. That's okay. It's okay not to know, but just remember that God still has those things for you to do. This is not the end of the story. This is not the end of history. His story, the best is yet to come. We will get through the current circumstances and come out the other side of it. And you can still be playing with those dreams and those ambitions and those niggles that God has given you right now. Now, if one of those niggles is to, travel around the world, then that might need to look different right now. Let's be realistic about it. But I would encourage you, say to God, okay, what is it? What's my next step? If you know what the thing is that he's niggling at you, but you don't know what to do next, ask him, what's my next step? What does that look like? And then walk it out step by step. And remember, as always, you don't have to play on your own. You get to do it with God, but you also get to do it in community as well. So if you're following along and you remember the playground, we talked last week or the week before about we're tinkering with things behind the scenes to make it even easier to do community. So I'd encourage you to come to the community, itchysoul.vip, and share what's on your heart. If you want accountability, there's a group for that. We can support you. And if you're following along and you're not a member of the playground, you can join us. uriah.com/join, where you can find out more and come and join us. It's pay what you want. There's no reason why anybody can't join us. But that's my quick housekeeping announcement. But most importantly, if you're feeling this sense of there's something I should be doing, but you don't know what it is, your plaything or your homework or your next step is to ask God, okay, what do I do now? What does that look like? And then pause and listen and then take action on that next thing. Thank you as always for being here. I'm excited for this first episode back. I look forward to catching up with you in future episodes. Take care. Bye-bye.